Hello and welcome back to ABG Investor Day. My name is Rebecca Järdrup and I am an analyst here at ABG covering the IT and tech sector. With us today we have Johan Nordqvist, the CEO, and Jenny Karlsson, the CMO of Briox. They will give us an overview of the company and Johan, please go ahead.
Many thanks, Rebecca. Let me start by taking the opportunity to thank ABG for inviting us to this event. I presented last year as well, and I must say it's a very good forum to bring progressive companies and investors together. So next slide, please. As said, I'm presenting here today together with our Chief Marketing Officer, Jenny Karlsson. Jenny will present herself more properly soon, and she will talk more about Briox growth strategy. And I joined Briox as a CEO about a year and a half ago in May 2020. And this timing, as you know, coincided with the outbreak of the corona pandemic. So it's been a very interesting year and a half for sure. But my belief in Briox was very strong when I joined the company. I would say it's even stronger now. And I really do believe that Briox is uniquely positioned for sustainable accelerated growth. And I hope this will shine through in this presentation. So next slide, please. Our plan today is to give you a quick introduction to Briox as a company, including a summary of the results to date in 2021. After that, Jenny will take you through the key pillars of our growth strategy with focus on the exciting opportunities we see in the micro business segment specifically. I will then go into a bit more detail about our near-term priorities and what you can expect from Briox in the coming half year or so. Finally, we'll open up for some questions. So next slide, please. So let me start by giving you a quick introduction to Briox, if we continue. I guess that most of the people listening today know Briox pretty well, but for those of you who don't, I can tell you that we are a software as a service company dedicated to helping micro business entrepreneurs simplifying and managing their business administration. And we do this through a fully cloud-based, user-friendly platform where the micro business owner can work together with his or her accounting agency in real time. And our products and services are sold in Finland and in the Baltics, where we have local sales and support staff. And product development and marketing, on the other hand, is managed from Växjö in Sweden, where we have our head office. And what you're seeing in this picture are some of our amazing people. Next slide, please. So Briox is backed up by a very competent board, which is very important and in this important time of transformation we're going through. And they are quite involved in this process. Our chairman, Johan Rutgersson, works with several fast-growing SaaS companies, and he's also served as the CEO of Briox previously. We have also backing from Mikael Lindblom, who is one of the world leaders, founder of one of the world leaders in invoice automation, Medius. He's also the strategic advisor to Einride, as you may have heard of, that is currently revolutionizing the transportation industry. We have also Daniel de Souza, who has very extensive experience from the accounting software industry. And he's also served as the CEO of Visma, SBCS. And through Helena Westin, we have access to one of the most competent people, I would say, in Sweden within brand and communication. And she also serves on the board of the Swedish television. And finally, the board is also represented by Martin Jönsson, who is an active investor in the tech space. If we move on, you will hear us speak quite a bit today about our increased focus on the micro business segment and about accommodating the needs of the micro business entrepreneur. And this is very important, but I want to make it very clear that Briox has and will continue to have a clear partner strategy. As of today, we have partnerships with more than 200 accounting agencies in Finland and the Baltics. And these agencies, they use Briox in their daily work with their clients, and they pay a monthly fee to us for using our services. Our software as a service model also includes a monthly fee for every client end user the agency then invites to Briox. And as one agency consultant typically handles between or up to 20, 30 clients each, the revenue upside for Briox is very big when the agency starts inviting the majority of their clients into our system. And this process of working through partners can be slower than working through direct sales. But on the other hand, it's a very, very powerful model when it starts scaling up, and churn is typically very low, as is the case for us. But to accelerate our business growth even further, we're now putting more focus on the needs of the end user, so the accounting agency's clients, thereby ensuring that we have a product offering that is just as relevant to the professional agency user as the end user at the end of this line. Next slide, please. Well, for those of you who have been following Briox, you know that a lot has happened for us in 2021. First of all, we have set a very clear strategy for accelerating our growth, including a revised positioning, which Jenny will speak about in just a second. I've also recruited a very competent new management team, which is now fully in place as of this quarter. Parallel with this, we have launched a new brand platform and also completely new product packaging, which has so far been very well received. So a very eventful year to date. Next slide, please. Now, has this plan for accelerated growth started to show some results? I would say yes. With the launch of our new product packages and our clarified positioning, we have managed to grow our customer base quite extensively. And in Q3, the number of user licenses was up about 65% versus the same quarter last year. Next slide, please. This trend is also visible in annual recurring revenue, which I would say is our most important key metric. The value of our recurring revenue is growing steadily quarter by quarter and was close to 40% up versus a year ago in Q3. So I would say that this is all good, but Briox has much higher ambitions than this. And I will now hand over to Jenny, who will tell you a little bit more about how we are further repositioning the company for accelerated growth. So if we move on, I will hand over to Jenny.
So thank you, Johan. So my name is Jenny Carlson, and I'm the CMO at Briox. Back to that slide. Thank you. I will talk about our repositioning for growth and our growth strategy. In our growth strategy, we have 4 key pillars that we grow our framework on. The foundation of change in our strategy is that from now on, we will be having a microbusiness segment as our target audience. And I will get back on exploring a little bit more on that shift and opportunity and what it means for us as a company. Secondly, we will be focusing on having an international core offer. In practice, this means that we will have one prominent product with additional solutions and services. This will allow us to be fast-paced and scalable. The third pillar is a highly efficient digital sales model. It will align all our functions within our organization to focus on sales, to make smart decisions and use data and analytics and the latest technology. And the final key pillar is win strategic partnerships. This means that we will continuously build and work on our partner strategy for us to have an attractive and extended offer towards our partners. And Johan will talk a little bit more on that later in this presentation. Next slide, please. Back to the previous slide. Thank you. So as previously described, we will increase our business. We will continue to work towards accounting agencies, but also described in our go-to-market strategy that Briox grow and our business grow once customers start using Briox. And as many of you know, identifying the right target customer is key part of strategic planning. The choices determine what you sell, how you brand it, and what prices you charge, and to whom you're competing with. So as of our strategy evolves, we have discovered that the customer focus of our business have shifted a little bit. So our target audience moving forward will be the microbusiness segment, and we put great emphasis in improving our offers towards this audience. Next slide, please. So who is the microbusiness owner and what is this target audience? It's a large segment. It's actually the largest in Europe. So about 93% of all businesses in Europe are microbusinesses. It's a really fast growing segment and they have accelerated even more during the pandemic. The official definition of a microbusiness are companies with less than 10 employees, but we think that our sweet spot for Briox will be businesses with less than 5 employees. Next slide, please. Another reason for us shifting our strategic focus towards the microbusiness segment is from a positioning standpoint. We have discovered that in our markets, there is an unmet customer need and that they're missing the one-stop shop that cater their considerably simple needs. We already have a strong product on the market with focus on accounting, which is also relatively difficult to copy. Having this as our foundation will allow us to focus on developing and choosing additional solutions to secure an even more attractive offer for this segment moving forward. Next slide, please. So I will leave back over to Johan, who will elaborate a little bit more on the key elements that we have moving forward in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Okay, if we move ahead. Thank you. So a very important element in our plan to meet the needs of the micro business entrepreneur is the launch of our new app. The majority of companies with, I would say, 1 to 3 or up to 5 employees are active in the service industry. And in these roles, they typically don't sit in front of a computer. So to be relevant to this and to this group, we need to be where the customer is, which is why we're now focusing heavily on content, or we will be focusing heavily on content for the mobile device. Our new app will be launched at the end of this year, and we will continue developing relevant mobile content on a going basis then quarter by quarter. So we're quite excited about this, and the initial feedback we received from the markets about what we're process of bringing in has been very positive. So next slide, please. Building on what Jenny said and to support our ambitions to grow, we're also working on further developing our sales model. In this process, we put a lot of focus on marketing automation and on digital leads generation. This work is then going in parallel with all the product development work. And then finally, if we move ahead, we're also quite excited that to become even more relevant to current and potential agency partners, we will soon now launch the updated Briox Partner Program. This, I would say, is a improved packaging of our service offer to small and large accounting agencies with quite powerful incentives to promote joint business growth. So again, continued focus on our partner strategy and working on building our business in collaboration with our existing and coming accounting agency partners. Next slide. And to summarize, it's been a very, very exciting 2021. And I would say this is the first year of transformation for accelerated growth in Briox. We are seeing good traction, as I've mentioned, and the Q3 numbers in Q3, as I mentioned, our number of user licenses grew by 65%, and our annual recurring revenue was up by close to 40%. And as been mentioned, to become even more relevant to the end user. We have clarified our positioning with the objective to accommodate the needs of our defined target audience, the micro business segment. So pretty much all our key initiatives in 2022 are designed to support this strategy. So I feel quite confident that we have a very clear plan how we intend to scale our business, and this plan is so far quite well on track. So with this, we wanted to round off, if you move ahead, and then open up for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Johan and Jenny, for the presentation. I have a few questions. Let's start with, in 2019, you entered the Baltics region. How has your product been received in these areas?
Right. We started, we've been present now in the Baltics for a little bit more than a year and a half. We started in Estonia, and then we followed that with entering Latvia and Lithuania. This has also, then, as you know, coincided with the outbreak of the pandemic, so it's been an interesting time. I would say the following. I mean, first of all, our entry, I think, is very welcomed. We feel very much that the feedback we get is that we come with something new. To me, now having been quite active, being out to all our markets, seeing customers, it's quite clear that if we compare to Sweden, I would say this is by far the country where this development of, digitalizing this industry and collaborative accounting has come the furthest, followed by Finland and then the Baltics. So I dare to say what's happening in Sweden and in Finland is also happening in Baltics, and in this regard we're very well positioned. So it's quite welcome. Then it takes some time to build brand name, and we have started now to sign up our first agencies in all these markets, and we're now also seeing the end user base starting to come in. But what we're seeing, and this is also relating to what you've heard today, it's very, very important then to enable these agencies to actively invite their customers. And this is why we see the launch of our new app will be a key enabler to accelerate our growth further in the Baltics. So I would say that so far so good. We're preparing for ramping up, and with a complementary sort of offer for the end user, we're now in 2022 ready to ramp this up. But entering new markets take time, but I feel very confident about these our entry into these markets and using that as a complement to our what we're doing in Finland. And also, on a final note, we are also working with many accounting agencies that have operations both in Finland and the Baltics. And in that regard, it's also, we're seeing synergies to be had when slowly but surely ramping up in the Baltics.
All right. And what about the micro companies? Are they as many in the Baltics compared to Finland, for example?
Yeah, I would actually say that this is more of a global thing. I mean, I would say I don't have the exact numbers, but I think that both in Europe, in the Baltics and Finland, even in the US, I mean, close to 85-90% of all companies, in terms of number of companies, are small with less than 10 employees. And out of those, the great majority are, have a lot less employees. So I think that's not an issue, having enough companies to work with. What we have felt very important for us is to be very, very clear about who we serve, because only then I think you can have a offer that is sharp enough to be relevant in that group. And that's the sort of repositioning we're taking. It's not a total overturning where we're going, not at all, but it's an attempt to be even sharper in our offering. But to answer your direct question, I think the demographics is more or less the same in all of the markets where we operate.
Okay. And as you said, it takes time to enter new markets, but are you planning to expand to any new regions?
I would say right now, my main focus, and also for the whole company, is to prove success where we stand. So we have no immediate plans to go outside the markets where we operate now. I think this is very important. Focus is important. Having said that, I think that in the longer run, with an even tighter core offer, that is probably possible. But I think, again, that we need to prove our model where we stand. And then with that accelerate growth, we can potentially expand elsewhere.
All right. And you touched upon it, but how do you experience the market momentum now compared to in the beginning of the pandemic? Is the demand bigger or the other way around?
I think it depends on how you look at it. I think the demand for having to do your bookkeeping or having to managing your company, I mean, it's there all the time, regardless of a pandemic. I think it's only, I mean, just to have a personal example, it's only, I think, I joined this role a year and a half ago. It's only, I think, 3-4 months ago where I could actually start having physical meetings abroad myself. And also when you're in an expensive phase, and also as you enter a new market, of course, being able to meet physically helps a lot. So in that sense, it's somewhat easier now. But I would say the underlying sort of need for these products and services has been there all the time.
All right. Thank you very much, Johan and Jenny, for the presentation. And thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.